We don't sell products. We don't sell relationships. We sell trust. This is the part that I'm trying to totally destroy in the industry. I don't believe in pain point. People buy access to opportunity. The only way to prove that you're interested in somebody else is to be interested in them.
By asking questions.
By asking questions that engage people in conversations where they want to share their opinion. A relationship is about one human being touching another human being and showing them that they care about them enough to look after them instead of their own well-being. That's what we do for a living.
Van Mueller.
Yes.
5 years in the making. You're finally on the BetterWealth show.
Thank you.
You flew all the way from Hawaii.
From Maui
To be here. You are a legend. I'm not just saying that. You serve so many people. You serve so many people in our profession. Our conversations have 85% of our conversations have been all about how you can serve the fellow person in our space. You have a huge heart. And I just, from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of so many people that aren't able to speak with you, I want to say thank you. It's an honor to have you be one of our keynote speakers at this year's summit. And I'm excited to capture your story. You have so many isms that we will only be able to scratch the surface today, but I just want to say thank you before we get going.
Thank you. You're being very kind, but also we'll do more of these because we really want to get this information out to everybody right now, because more than ever, the American people desperately need what we do. And if we have the information that we need and we learn the skills that we need, we'll be able to inspire people to do the things they need to do so they can be in control of their financial and their retirement futures, even if the government fails them, if Wall Street fails them, if the banks fail them, even if the insurance companies fail them, if they have the proper strategy in place, they can still win.
Yes.
And that's what we do for a living.
We're going to get into that. Before we get into that, I would love to hear your story. How did you didn't come out of the womb wanting to talk about taxes and insurance and all.
No.
Talk to me about your journey before, during, and after, because I know you were honest with me. You shared with me your story, and you've had a real turning moment. And I'm curious about what led up to that and how it went going after that.
Well, first, before I do this, you understand I work so hard to learn how to not talk about myself. I don't know if you saw, even when you were saying what you were saying, it's very uncomfortable.
I know.
The guy that picked me up in the car to bring me here was very kind. He said, "Oh man, you're a legend, blah, blah, blah." And I went, no, you got to really understand. You're only as good as your last appointment. If you don't do that well, nobody's going to remember what you did in the past. Our job is to serve people every time we're sitting in front of somebody. And that's what I worked very hard to learn. I had to learn to do that because I did everything wrong for 16 years. So nobody can fool me about how to be a failure in this business, and nobody can fool me about how to be a success in this business, because I've been both. I never wanted to be an insurance agent. My great-great-grandfather was a buyer for the JCPenney company. And so when I was in college out in California, I went to work for JCPenney's as a buyer, and I helped open one of the largest JCPenney's in the country. I was 19 or 20 years old. I thought, oh boy, this is going to be my career. What ends up happening is when you're 19 years old, 20 years old, nothing goes fast enough. And I started to realize that the only way I was ever going to go up through the ranks in the JCPenney company is a lot of people are going to have to die. And I didn't have time to wait around for that. And so I grew up and lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I decided to leave California and come back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I went to work for a subsidiary of the JCPenney company, a discount store called Treasure Island.
And you were 21?
21.
Okay.
And while I was working for them, my brother bowled with a guy from a company called Bankers Life and Casualty. And he told him how much I hated what I was doing, and they invited me over to have a meeting? And I said, yeah, I might be interested in finding out how to do this. Because you know what they do when you're 21, they entice you. They say, if you do this good for a couple of years, we'll make you a manager. And you're going, oh boy, would it be great. 23, 24, I can boss people around and everything without having any understanding of really what being a manager is. And so what ended up happening is I took my test to be an insurance agent. Please, everybody has to remember, this is 1973. We didn't take it online. We didn't take it on a computer. We went and took a written exam. And I lived in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and the commissioner of insurance was in Madison, Wisconsin, the capital of the state. So I had to drive to Madison every time I took the test. And all 3 times I took the test, I got a 68. All 3 times, flunked all 3 times. And the third time, the commissioner of insurance walks into the room and he says, Van, I don't know what you're reading into these questions, but this is the third time you got a 68. There must be something that you're not doing right. He says, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. If you get them right, I'm going to pass you. And apparently I got them right. I don't remember the questions or anything like that. But when you take a test, you read things into
Totally.
it.
I'm a terrible test taker.
That's not there. And so I kind of understood the information, but I never. And so what I want people to understand is that I don't have a gift of gab. I'm not charming. I have imposter syndrome. I'm very shy, and I'm pretty much a loner. Like I just gave a speech in Maui, and I spent pretty much a day and a half in my room by myself. I'm very uncomfortable with who I am. And everybody laughs about that. They say, well, how can you just walk up to people and talk to them? I say, well, because the person that trained me finally, and I want to shorten that a little bit. He taught me the fastest way to build self-esteem was to do something for somebody else. And the minute that I grabbed onto that, then I forget about my inadequacies and I start being focused on what can I do to serve you? What can I do to help you? Now, please, I didn't learn that till my 16th, 17th year in the business. First 16 years I was in the business, we had leads. I'm going to tell you something. I was easily the worst insurance agent in America. I actually got a lead one time. Paul Harvey advertised for our company. And when he was advertising, people sent in a lead, a postcard, and it said, Dear Paul Harvey, God bless you, Paul Harvey. Will you please send an agent to our home to sell us insurance?
So it's a layup.
I blew that sale. I didn't even get close. I can remember times where I would give these spectacular sales presentations and the customer would say, nah, we were just thinking about it. And I would slam my book shut. Remember, I'm in their home. And I'd say, that's okay. I didn't really want you for a customer anyway. And I'd storm out of their house. I was lucky. I made 40 to 60,000 a year for the first 16 years I was in the business. And nothing more than that, enough to survive.
Right.
Enough. I had a wife and 2 little kids and enough to survive. And then one day,
why did you stay in the business so long?
Because I didn't know how to do anything else.
You were like J.C. Penney's or?
I didn't know how to do anything else.
Okay.
So and what ended up happening is because it took me so long to find my place, I became very ugly and very negative. And the only way I know how to describe me to you is I was a cancer in my agency.
Interesting.
They would bring a new agent into the agency.
You just be
put
negative?
my arm around them and I'd say, this is a really good company. They don't issue anything, but they're really good. The commissions are awesome. You're never going to see them. And if you don't suck up to the manager, you're not going to get any of the phone-ins. I was that guy. And so when I do my talks, I say to agents, please, you have to run away from people like I was because I don't even, when you ask me about serving other agents, I wonder during those 16 years how many agents I screwed up.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly in a state of I still have to make up for that. Okay. So anyway, I walked into the branch manager's office one day and he said, Van, we don't care how much you write anymore. You're just causing all kinds of grief for our agency. You're fired.
Whoa. And this was 16 years into this. So you're 37.
37 years old and 2 kids and a wife. And I said, that's okay. I can just transfer to one of the other agencies in town. And the other 2 branch managers walked in and said, no, you can't. So I was fired. I didn't know what I was going to do. I spent the whole day, I don't know why, but I spent the whole day crying. And have you ever sobbed so hard that you can't catch your breath? That's how hard I cried. I had no clue what I was going to do. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what I was going to do next. I didn't even want to go home and tell my wife. I just spent the whole day crying, just sobbing. And finally, I got the courage to get on the phone and call a man named Jim Gaylord, who is the vice president of training for the company that fired me. He lived in Highland Park, Illinois. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's a Bears fan. I'm a Packers fan. And I got on the phone and I said, Jimmy, you're not going to believe this. They fired me. And I'll never forget. He didn't even take a breath. He said, man, they really should have done that 10 years ago. That's what he said. And then he said the sentence that changed my life. He said, but I could save your career. I said, oh my God, what do I have to do? He says, from now on, every time you're in a home or a business, I want you to take care of those people, whether you make a commission or not. And I want you to understand what a dirtball I was. I wasn't a good person. I said, Jimmy, if I do that, I'll starve to death. And thank God he said, okay, well, then you're fired. And I said, no, you don't understand. He said, no, you don't understand. You either do what I tell you or you're fired. Now, again, when I'm giving talks, I stop and say to agents, do you understand how stupid I was? I had lots of people in those 16 years. I knew about Ben Feldman and John Savage and Tom Wolfe and all of the greats of the industry. And they were all trying to show me I could get better, and I wasn't willing to try any of it. That's what's so amazing about what you're about to do and what you continue to do for all of these people that will be attending these meetings, these summits that you put on. And the reason is I would sit out in audiences, and while these greats were giving their ideas, here's what I was saying to myself. There's no way I can do that. There's no way. If I try that, I'll even be worse than I am. And so for 16 years, I didn't try any of it. Finally, I lucked out. I got fired. And so I say to everybody, I had to actually get painted into a corner until I was willing to do what was necessary to be better. And then this guy became like my adopted father. He took care of.
Why did you ever ask him why he wanted? I mean, you were 16 years negative.
You're not going to believe this. I show you. See, I believe in the universe. I believe in God. I was looked after when I didn't deserve to be looked after. I'll tell you why. Nobody ever asked me that question, so I'm going to tell you the answer. I hate my name, Van. If my parents were alive today, I'd punch them in the face. Yeah. What were you, Van? I'm 75 years old next Monday, okay? And people still say, Van Johnson, Vance. Is that short for something? Moving van. And I'm 75 years old, and they still make fun of my name a little bit. And so the thing that was so interesting is when I called Jimmy on the phone and I said, please, I don't know what to do. You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you. A Jewish guy from Highland Park, Illinois, vice president of training for the company that I worked for, and I didn't know this, had his own son named Van. Now, how do you ever add that up in your head? I'm getting the chills telling it to you right now. That's somebody looking after you, even when you don't deserve to be looked after. Now was a turning point in my career. The next year, the 17th year, I made the $1 Million Roundtable for the first time. Second year, I made core of the table, and now 36 years in a row, top of the table. My life was changed because he taught me, and that's a lie. There is no teaching. There's only learning. He helped me learn how to be a servant rather than to talk about me. And that's why when people say stuff about me, I'm still very uncomfortable, because when I'm in front of a customer, they don't know anything about me. All I'm doing is asking about them. Who are you? Why are you? What do you want to do? How do you want to get there? Would you be upset if you lost any money? Would you be willing to take some risk in order to make more money? All those kinds of questions. It's never about me. It's never about a product. It's never about an interest rate. It's never about a cash value. And what I hope people will get when they listen to this podcast is that the business we're in, and the reason why we'll always have success if we do this correctly, is because this is a people business. It's not a product business.
Yes.
It's not a science business. And so artificial intelligence, if you know how to use it correctly, will be beneficial. But even I just read an article in the New York Times. I hope I'm not straying too far away, but there's an article this week, Sunday's New York Times, and the guy is the deep fake expert of the United States, and he says he can no longer even trust his own eyes. That's how good these are.
Wow.
Can you even imagine? He can't trust his own eyes. So if an agent doesn't think that they're going to be able to create an avatar that looks and sounds like you, that can say everything that you can say and everything, they will be able to, and this will happen in months, not years, not 5 years. This is all going to happen within months. And so what I say to agents, do you know why you don't have to worry? Because no matter how good that avatar is, they will never be able to build a relationship. They'll be able to say all the words. They'll be able to do it pretty. They'll be able to not go and and do those kinds of things. But a relationship is about one human being touching another human being and showing them that they care about them enough to look after them instead of their own well-being. And that's what we do. That's what we do for a living. Please, it's easy to talk about now, but it took me 16 years to learn. And even, I hope you'll laugh, Caleb, even in the first 5 years when I made MDRT and then core to the table and then top of the table, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just following the instructions, and I lucked out. That was at a time back then we used to sell mix that were fun to sell. Let me explain. Before they changed the law, you could go to a lawyer that had $1 million and you could say, give me $1 million in a modified endowment contract or in an annuity, and we will give you $100,000 a year back every year for the next 10 years till you're 65 years old. You don't have to pay any tax on it. Here's why: because they were treated as first in, first out relationships. And then they changed the law and made it last in, first out. And that's when the new MEC rules and all of that stuff came in. So I actually made top of the table the first few times based on learning how to use that product. But then it changed. And so then what's very interesting in all these years that I've been doing this, I've probably made top of the table 5 or 6 or 7 ways. And right now, I'm literally having to relearn everything I do because social media, artificial intelligence, how do you prove to somebody that you're interested in them with the access to all the information they have? And now they have celebrities. They can have the president of the United States selling them life insurance if you want. I mean, you know what I mean? It's very, very interesting, very disconcerting. But if you transition, and that's what I've been mostly good at, is transitioning into learning new ways to present myself to my prospects and clients.
Okay, so the shift, 16 years in the making, and if I'm doing my math right, you've been in this industry more than 50 years.
54.
54 years.
January 23rd.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah, especially when I look back, as I'm talking to you about this, I'm actually getting the chills because there's no way I should be here. There's just no way.
Yeah, and even I appreciate you sharing that story that you've rarely ever shared about even the person having like the relationship to the name that you hated. It's amazing. That's a different podcast.
Don't you understand? That's why we all have faith.
Yeah.
That's, the philosopher Goethe says that when you make a decision to help somebody else, the universe will conspire to assist you. Well, I change the words sometimes because I think that's faking it out. When you make a decision to help somebody else, God will conspire to assist you. Just those are the magic words. You have to understand that you can't do this by yourself. My mom used to tell me all the time, no man is an island unto himself. And we're going to laugh tomorrow. We're going to have all these wonderful people there, and everybody's going to say, boy, Van. And I'm going to go, you understand, everybody that's speaking on that stage is my mentor, my hero. They're helping me.
Yeah.
And so I probably have 100, 150, 200 mentors.
It's incredible.
I think my claim to fame is that I'm willing to keep learning.
It's funny that you are a lot more humble today than when you first got into the business. Isn't that crazy? It's like the more money you've made, the more people you've been able to influence, the more humble you are. And that comes from the thesis of wanting to give, and it's not all about you. I'm curious about the framework, I'm sure you've adapted, but the shift between going and trying to selling something to going in and saying, I'm here to serve. What is your framework on when you sit down? Because you actually go sit down with people in their home. Do you want to guess how many meetings do you think you've had in-person meetings in someone's home? Like,
Well, I run 30 to 50 appointments a week, and I've been doing it for probably close to 50 years. I mean, even when I was a lousy agent, because we had leads, I was in front of people all the time. It just wasn't any good. And the other thing that I want to flinch, like you saw me flinch. I don't tell them I'm going to serve them. That to me is fake.
yes,
That's not real. The only way to prove that you're interested in somebody else is to be interested in them.
by asking questions.
By asking questions that engage people in conversations where they want to share their opinions.
So walk me through how you use questions. And again, like, I don't want to be that same type of person to try to create a science around the heart of serving, but I'm curious about going in. What are some of your go-to questions that you've asked in the past, that you ask now, that give you enough data to be able to say, can I move the needle for somebody?
Well, I'm saving 2 of them for tomorrow.
Okay. Good news is this is going to release after, so you can share it with us.
You gave me a couple of, I'm going to spend about half of my talk tomorrow talking about the other speakers and how to take advantage of what they do. That's really the key. We want this to really be magnificently successful. And the only way is if they go home and they know how to use Ed Slott, David McKnight, and Tom Wall, and Joe Jordan, and all of these people that are going to be there. And even the guy, I'm having a senior moment right now, but the guy that built the TSR ratings.
Yes.
Boy, we better know if our companies that we're working for are of good quality.
Yes.
And how to determine those kinds of pieces of information. And we have all those kind of people tomorrow, and we have coaches tomorrow. We have all kinds of amazing, wonderful people. So how do you take advantage of what they're going to share, and how do you not get overwhelmed? And that's what happens at these summits all the time. And I apologize, but that's what happens. An agent goes there and he watches, let's take Ed Slott for a second.
Yep.
He watches Ed Slott and he goes, oh, I got to go home and talk about that. And he talks about it for 5, or she talks about it for 5 or 6 or 7 times. And she doesn't have the same success that Ed Slott would have. And then I say to him, what if you'd have practiced another 50 times? You know, Ed Slott has said what he said thousands of times.
Mm-hmm.
And so the secret of all of this, the really foundational secret of all of this, is practice.
Mm-hmm.
The second part is to be as authentic as you can be. And here's what I mean by that. The top of the table, I just was at the $1 Million Roundtable annual meeting in Anaheim. Top of the table has 4,264 members. And I asked all the agents there, I said, what do you know what that means, don't you? They go, no. I say, that means there's 4,264 different ways to make top of the table. And the reason they make it is because they have found a way to be their own unique self, authentic, serving people, doing what they do best. So it's not to go to this meeting to try to be like Ed Slott or David McKnight, or even though, please, watch tomorrow. He's one of my favorite people. David McKnight, he's an elegant speaker. He's just lovely to listen to. And he's a wordsmith. And you know, I want to keep learning. I want to keep getting better. And there's a lot of people that are like that tomorrow, but he's just, to mention it, he's one of my favorites. And so what I do is I ask great questions, and here's what I assume. You have to assume this first. Otherwise, the questions won't work. Caleb, pretend that you know that the only reason I'm coming to have a conversation with you is because I want to sell you something.
Wait, say that again. Pretend.
Assume that the only reason that I want to come and talk to you ever is because I want to sell you something.
You say that.
No, I want them to understand that. There's not a customer in the world that doesn't think the only reason we're coming is to sell them something. That's what they all think. You're just coming here, you want to sell me something.
Yes.
So how do you get an appointment if that's all they think about? See, the hard part is not once you get into the appointment. Please, there's still some skills that are involved. Some of these people are so charming, so dynamic, that if they get enough appointments, they'd be successful in our industry. But the problem for 97% of the people in our industry is they don't have enough appointments.
Correct.
They can't get in front of enough people.
Yes.
No matter all these schools, we're going to have some of the greats of the industry talking to us. I've been to all these meetings where all these guys share all their spectacular information. And then you go home and you're all, oh, I'm so excited. And you can't get an appointment. It goes away very fast. You know what I call it? I call it financial Chinese food.
Oh, no. I think we all
get
know
the information an hour later, you're hungry.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fly. The key is to be in front of enough people. And what'll happen without you even realizing it, the more people you're in front of, the more practice you get.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you practice, the better you get.
Yes.
And the better you get, the more appointments you'll get.
Yes.
It kind of feeds into each other. So for me, I'm very, very lucky. I have so many appointments right now that I'm actually almost 100 appointments behind right now. I had a lady call me before I came on this trip. She was very upset. She said, Van, we called you like 2 weeks ago and you still haven't called to make an appointment. And I said, please, I hope you're going to laugh, but you should have called me sooner. I have to do these in the order of how people call me.
Wow.
And so I do have some openings in July if you're still willing to meet with me. She says, well, of course we're willing to meet with you. And I said, well, thank you. I really appreciate that you're being patient. And I will work as hard as I can to make sure I answer your questions. And so that's the kind of situation I have in my practice now, where it's not about finding somebody to talk to. It's about trying to fit them in.
Yes. So go through. So what are the questions? So you say, walk me through the type of questions and framework when you're sitting across someone.
Well, I'll get to
Okay.
But you asked me another that I really dancing around and I want to make sure I cover.
Yeah.
How do you get these appointments?
Yes.
What do you ask somebody to get them to have an appointment with you? And the hottest question in the business right now, and everybody should be talking about it, is Mr. and Mrs. Customer, can I ask you something? With all the stuff that's in the news about this, what do you think is the best age to take your Social Security? And wait, before you even answer me, do you know why I'm asking you? Do you know that almost 94% of the people in this country take Social Security to their detriment rather than what's best for them?
Wow.
So let me ask you something. What if we could ask you a series of questions that would allow you to maximize this spectacularly important benefit, not only for you, but your family? A lot of people think when you say you should defer until age 70, that it's only for me, but I have a much younger wife. I tell them that. And so if I defer till age 70, not only does it pay me the maximum benefit as long as I live, when I die, it pays my wife the maximum benefit as long as she lives. Did you know that? Most people don't. Second thing is, do you know why you need to understand this? And they go, no. Can I say, would it be okay if it's a quick example? It'll be easy. And then just talking to them. If you're sitting next to me at a baseball game, or you're sitting next to me at a football game, you're waiting in line at the movie theater, or if you're in a restaurant, I do this with the waiters and service staff that come to me. You ask people all the time. I got an appointment with one of my flight attendants on the flight here. I'm not kidding, because I don't stay in my seat. I go in the back and I talk to them. And I'll tell you what question I asked her in just a minute. But the thing I'm trying to say is I say, can I share some information with you? I always ask for permission. Mm-hmm. And so I say, do you understand? Do you know the last time they ever fixed Social Security was in 1980 when Ronald Reagan was the president. And do you know they were really brilliant at that time? They really thought it through. And they figured out that whether you took Social Security at 62 or you took it at age 70, if you lived to what at that time was life expectancy of age 80, you got the same exact amount of money. So if you got $2,000 a month at age 62 times that number of years until you're age 80, 18 years, that was $132,000. But if you deferred till age 70 and you got $3,600 a month and you live till age 80, you got $132,000. You got the same exact amount of money. But then there's this guy named Wade Pfau, who has studied and studies, considered one of the retirement experts on the planet, not just in our country, on the planet. And he has determined that a man who makes it to age 65 lives till age 86. And a woman who lives till age 65 makes it to age 89. And it pays to stay being married. Got to tell you, Do you know that a married couple who make it to age 65, there's a 50% chance that one of them will live till they're 95 years old? It's amazing.
It's amazing.
So, please, I don't want you to misinterpret what I said. I'm not talking about a child born today,
Yes.
because their life expectancy because of COVID is a little shorter. I'm talking about people who make it to 65.
Yes.
That's their life expectancy. So let's take the lowest one, 86 for a man. Okay. If you take it at 62, you only get 2,000. If you defer till age 70, you get 3,600. So 1,600 times 12 months is $19,200. So 6 times $19,200 is like $117,000. Do you understand? Because you chose the benefit incorrectly, you gypped you and your family out of $100 and some $1,000. And if you live past that, then the thing becomes even bigger. What if we could show you a way to maximize your Social Security? And then I stop and the audience looks at me and the very first question they want to ask, and the customer, very first question they want to ask, well, if I defer till 70, if I retire at 65, what am I going to do for income till I'm 70? And I say, do you understand what they just did? They just gave you permission to do retirement planning with them. You didn't even ask them. They asked you. It's like killer fun. And then all you have to do is a little bit of math, and you can show them how they can take from their IRAs and their 401ks and their taxable money, pay little or no income tax to get from 65 to 70, and then they can max out this really important benefit for the rest of their life. And now you have a mistaken thing going on in our country right now where a lot of people think, oh, we're not going to get our Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
There are 72 million baby boomers born between 1946 and 1964. And we have 3 more years of 11,000 baby boomers a day turning 65. Okay. There are 66 million Generation Xers born between 1965 and 1980. That means every single one of those is over the age of 46 years old right now. Let me ask you something. Any of those guys going to be happy if we don't make Social Security okay? Don't you think they would vote that person out of office so fast it'll make your head spin? So please don't misunderstand. They'll fix Social Security. Will there be a cost? Of course. And who's going to pay it? Won't it be our children and our grandchildren? Yeah. Of course it will.
Yeah.
And so then you say to grandma and grandpa, you say, but what if there was a way that you could maximize your benefits and make sure that it stayed in the family instead of going to the government, and you could make sure that your children and your grandchildren are okay? Man, wouldn't that be the best outcome of all? And gosh, if you knew you could do that right now, when would you want to get started?
Today.
That's what they say. I'm not kidding. And it just takes that long. And that's just one. Please, I have 1,000 questions like that.
That's one path.
That's one question. Another really hot one. And this is one of the ones I'm going to share tomorrow. What would it be like if you could be the beneficiary of your own life insurance policy while you're still alive? And wait. Before you answer, do you know why I'm asking you? What do most people think you have to do in order to collect on life insurance?
Die.
Would it be a revelation to you if I explained to you and showed you and shared with you that there is not an insurance company that has ever existed that has ever paid any money to a dead person? It's life insurance. It's there to take care of the people we love, the businesses we've created, and the charities that we have consideration for. Then I lean in and I go, but I don't want you to die. What if I could show you how to take advantage of all the living benefits of a cash value life insurance policy so that, first of all, you'd never lose any money ever again? And second of all, the money would be so liquid, so accessible that every time something bad happened, when it was done happening, you'd have access to money without having to ask anybody for permission. It's your money. You'd be able to go and get that money and take advantage of opportunities. And I saved the best part for last. I hope you're ready. What if you could do all of that with reduced or total elimination of your income tax liability? And I'm just getting started. You know, if you really understand, lots of people try to compare life insurance to investments. Please really hear me. Life insurance is not a good investment.
Thank you for saying that.
That's demeaning to life insurance. It is the most flexible financial vehicle ever conceived of in the mind of a human being. And its flexibility is what makes it so special. Here's what I mean. In today's world, Where are you going to get money to offset inflation? Where are you going to get money to take care of long-term care? Where are you going to get money if you have a critical illness like a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, and you got to take money out of pocket to get those bills off your plate? And if you take it out of your investments, isn't that going to lower your investments? And isn't that going to lower your inheritance? Well, what if with the cash value life insurance? Let's compare it. Let's say you had $300,000 in an IRA in the last 2 years of your life. You go into the nursing home and then you die. How much money would your family get? They'd get the $100,000 that's left. But if you had $300,000 in cash value in the cash value life insurance policy, and the face amount was $500,000, let's say you're not even that healthy, $500,000, and they used $200,000 the last 2 years of your life. Do we subtract the $200,000 from the $300,000 you gave me, or do we subtract it from the $500,000 face amount? The answer is easy, isn't it? So stop and think. You used 2/3 of your money while you were alive, and the day you died, you replenished your legacy for your family income tax free. I have a question for you. Do you know any other money in the world that can do that? And do you really understand, really think about this? It's really important that you think about this. Isn't it the only money on planet Earth that you're allowed to use the same exact money twice? Once while you're alive and once as a legacy after you die.
So say that one more time.
Wouldn't you like to understand that it's the only money on planet Earth that's where you're allowed to use the same money twice? Once while you're alive, the cash value, and once after you die, the leveraged death benefit as a legacy for your family.
Yeah.
So you figured out a way that all of that is taken care of. And then I'm still not done. Then I go, if that's all there was, shoot, man, you should get this right now, but that's not all there is, because it doesn't have to go through probate. It's incontestable and private. It can be controlled from the grave. It has creditor and predator protection, and it has Medicaid versatility. You can turn it from a lump sum asset into an income stream. And I stop and I say, the fourth one that talks about creditor and predator protection, isn't everybody suing everybody else's brains out? And listen to me, it isn't. But even if it was the worst investment on planet Earth in today's world, don't you think you should have some money in creditor protected asset?
I think there should for sure be a value that we put on something like that. And very few people even know how to value it, because it's something that's not even in people's.
So I'm hoping you're seeing, by the way, those are the whole sales presentation. I make sales in 5, 10, 15 minutes. Please, and when agents get all bollocksed up when I say that to them, they say, how do you fill out the app and everything? I said, no, you're not understanding. I know in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes whether they're going to take action.
Yes.
So then I don't waste any time. Then I go right into, well, in order to make sure we're doing this exactly the way you want to do it, would it be okay if I asked you a bunch of additional questions that will help you to clarify exactly what path you want to take, whether you want to be conservative, whether you want to take moderate risk, or whether you want to take a lot of risk, and do you need to do any of these? And the only way that we can figure that out is to make sure that you're clear exactly how you want to proceed. Would that be okay?
Yes.
That's a fact find. Only I don't call it a fact find.
And you're adding value before you're even asking for their data.
Absolutely.
And because I find that a lot of people almost just want, let's get your information, but it's like, there's no buy-in for me to give you the information. People's time is valuable.
You brought up another thing. It's really important that I share this with you. I wince, I cringe every time an agent meets, and I've been in appointments with some agents where right away they say, well, let me see your income tax return and show me your investments and all of that kind of stuff. And the customer's sitting there going, man, I just met you. I'm not showing you anything. Are you kidding me? You haven't earned the right to ask personal questions until they say, Van, what do you think I should do? Or how would you handle it? Then I have the right. So what you do to get around that, and it's easy. See, it's easy for me to say now because I've practiced thousands of times, but it's easy. What do people like to share with you more than anything else in the world? Their opinions.
Yes.
And aren't their opinions based upon pretty much what they're doing in their life?
Interesting.
So they pretty much tell you
will you ask them,
without me asking them.
Will you ask them something like, tell me your opinion of Social Security?
Yeah. What do you
and
think?
they have no idea.
But not like that.
Okay.
It's a conversation.
Yeah.
See, that sounds like a pitch.
Yes.
It's, man, what do you think's going to happen with Social Security? Are you worried?
I see.
And do you think they would really hurt anybody, or do you think they'll figure out a way to take care of it, even if they have to hurt somebody else temporarily?
Yes.
That's a conversation now.
Yes.
It's not a, I don't want it to sound like a pitch.
No.
Because I don't even go anywhere near talking about products.
Yes.
Until they say, well, Van, what would you do? And then I'm telling you, even then, I don't offer to help.
Yes.
I then ask them a bunch of questions. How do you want to handle this?
Yeah.
I have a 5-question sales presentation that you started to get me into. And that's what I do when I'm sitting next to somebody on the plane, when I'm at dinner and I'm hitting on the servers. And, you can't call them waitresses or waiters anymore. There are servers.
Yes.
When I'm at a baseball, football game. In fact, a couple of years ago, the Brewers, which I'm a huge fan of, were playing the Cubs in a playoff. They tied at the end of the season. They don't do that anymore. Now there's things that break the tie. But 2 or 3 years ago, you had to have a playoff game. And I went to Wrigley Field and I sat next to this guy, and thank goodness the Brewers beat the Cubs and we won the division. But this guy paid for my Brewers tickets because I sat there the whole time dripping on him the whole game, asking him questions. And at the end of the game, he said, "Oh my God, I didn't realize any of this." He goes, "Do you still take on new customers?" They said, "Well, normally I don't, but since you had to put up with me this whole game and you didn't get mad when the Brewers won, oh, sure, I'll be." But I'm not really coming to take you over. I'm coming to ask you a bunch of questions that'll help you clarify in your own mind how you should proceed. And if you decide that I'm worthwhile to work with, then I'll do it. But I'm happy just to ask you the questions. Would that be okay? You understand? It's so disconcerting.
Yes.
I'm not an adversary.
Yes.
Never.
Yes. And people can intuitively tell if you have an agenda, that you just ask a question to try to pounce on somebody.
Well, Caleb, stab me, because don't make me out to be a good guy. I have an agenda. I want to sell them something.
Right. But
no.
Yeah.
Please really get that.
Yeah.
But
you wouldn't sell it to them if it's not in their best interest. What I've done
is I've learned a process that allows me to get to that point without it looking like all I'm there to do is to sell them something. So it's really important that we phrase it that way. Yeah. Because then I don't want anybody to come off. And in fact, it drives me crazy in the industry when an agent says this sentence: "The only reason I came into the industry is because I just wanted to help people." No, you fibber McGee. You came into the business because you wanted to make a good living. You wanted to make money. You can't help anybody until you make money, until you make a sale. You can't serve anybody. The way to do it is to do it with dignity and to do it where you're respectful of the people that you're calling on, and where you understand. Like, one of my first questions, I just deviate for a second, is, do you think taxes will be higher in the future? Just yes or no. Agents come to me all the time and they say, "Van, don't you get the same exact answer all the time?" And they go, "No, are you kidding me? I bet you I've gotten 1,000 different answers to that question, because everybody's in a different place." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't go there assuming anything.
Yep.
I ask my questions, go through the process, and that's the second part of it.
Yeah.
Questions leading to conversations that then lead to going through a process of discovery that allows them to make it determined to take action. And then this is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. It's just 3 things that we do in the industry: get enough appointments.
Yep.
Then when we're in appointment, inspire people to take action. And third, this is the hard one: find the money. Because isn't everybody saying they can't afford it?
Yeah.
So what if we could show you an easy way to find the money, and you could turn ineffective and inefficient money into the most effective and efficient money that you could ever dream of, and you wouldn't have to give up access to any opportunities. Come on, even if you didn't do anything, watch that line.
Yeah.
Come on, even if you didn't do anything, wouldn't you at least want to know how to do that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be worth 45 minutes of your time?
That's a writer downer. That's a writer downer.
And do you know what I mean? That's
when you're looking at somebody, and this would be fun maybe as a part 2 for show you a different situation and to figure out what question you would lead with. Has anyone ever done that to you, where on a podcast where they'll give you a random situation and then you would say, this is the question that I would lead with.
Done not on a podcast, but the agents do it all the time. What would you, and that's where some of my questions actually came from. I live in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yep.
And I live about maybe 100 yards from Northwestern Mutual's home office.
Okay.
And please, even though I don't work for them, even though you're going to laugh what I'm going to say, even though they'd never hire me, they wouldn't have hired me back then.
They wouldn't hire you now?
I don't think so, because I'm too old now.
Okay.
They wouldn't want to make the investment that would be that they have to make in order to have successful agents. They're the reason we have a beautiful downtown Milwaukee. They're integral to the financial success of our city.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love them. And so I have a lot of Northwestern Mutual agents that I work with around the country that we help learn how to sell their products and do their things. And every July, Northwestern Mutual agents come to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they pay their own way. Can you even believe this? They pay their own way. And the 5 days that they're there, I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with 15 different Northwestern Mutual agents. And we were standing on the street corner in front of Northwestern Mutual. I take it back, in front of the Pfister Hotel, which is just a block down from Northwestern Mutual. And these guys were giving me all kinds of grief. Oh, you say you can get these appointments, blah, 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 blah. Prove it. I said, okay, I'll make you a deal. There's 5 of them. I said, if I can't get the appointment with anybody you select, if I can't get the appointment, I'll take you guys into the Pfister. They have a wonderful restaurant inside of there, and I'll buy you all a steak dinner. But if I get an appointment, you have to buy Pamela and I the best steak dinner that you could ever afford. Would that be okay? And they go, yeah. I say, well, who should I go and talk to? And they pick a guy standing over on the street corner. I'm not kidding. They tell the story to this day. I walk up to the guy and say, hi, I'm Van Miller. I'm an insurance agent.
You say that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm an insurance agent. I said, see those guys over there? It's about being authentic.
Yes.
They don't want fake.
Yes.
I'm an insurance agent. See those guys over there? They're from Northwestern Mutual. And you're not going to believe it. I hope you'll laugh. That's what tones it down. Hope you'll laugh.
Yeah.
They made me a bet that I can't get an appointment with you, and I made them a bet that I could. Will you just watch? This is the transition. It's called the transition set. Will you just have a little fun with me for a minute? Can I just ask you a couple of questions? I think you'll be interested in your own answers, and whatever you decide to do is fine with me. But I really want to have an attempt at this. Would it be okay? And he said, I'm kind of interested.
And are you nervous at this point?
Or I'm shaking like a leaf.
Okay. I'm nervous just to hear you talk about this.
So I looked at him and I say, can I ask you something? Really think about this. Give me an honest answer. If you lost your job for 30 years, would that harm you and your family?
Of course.
Then I said, now really think about what I'm going to ask you next. It's the key to everything. Isn't that retirement?
Ding, ding, ding.
And he went, oh my God, I never thought about it that way. And they said, can I ask you something? One more question. Every study that's being done in the last 10, 15 years says the number one concern of Americans is running out of money before they run out of life, living longer than their money. If there was no cost or obligation, promise I won't try to sell you a thing. And when I'm finished, I will bet you any money that you'll be so pleased with the information that you'll walk me to my car and hold my car door open for me. You think you could find me 45 minutes in the next week or two? He said yes, in front of those guys. They bought me the biggest ribeye steak. What do they call those? The big hand?
Yeah.
Pamela and I. Yeah. That's what I do. I just walk up to people and I ask them what I think are interesting questions.
But you do it based on you wouldn't ask a 25-year-old a Social Security question.
No.
So so you're trying to
Here's
just
what I ask a lot of 25-year-olds. Here's a really good question. Married couples.
Yes.
Remember when malls were the thing? I used to we had a mall in Milwaukee called the Southridge Mall. And on the lower level of the mall, they had a choo-choo train ride where moms and dads would bring their kids and they'd force them to get on these trains so they could take pictures of them. Kids would be kicking and screaming and all that. Well, I would go every Wednesday. I would go for 3 hours and I would sit there because they had a food court and then there's the train. And I'd have a little lunch and then I'd sit there for 3 hours. And I'd never go up to a single mom or a single dad, because that's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But I would walk up to married couples all the time
Yep.
and say, hey, please, I have to ask you this. You'll really help me because I am an insurance agent. At that time, I was 20 or 30 years, and I'm not sure I'm asking anybody the right question. That, gosh, you could really, really help me a ton to help a lot of people. If you would tell me what you think about this question that I would like to ask you, it only take 1 minute. That's all it'll take of your time. And I tell you what, if in any way you consider this an imposition, I'll be happy to pay for your kid's next ride.
Okay.
Okay. And they said, sure. Okay. I said, do you think it's fair that when one parent dies and there's not enough money, that the children actually could end up losing both their parents? Because if there's not enough money, isn't the parent that's left going to have to
work
cook and clean and work and shovel snow and do yard work? And think about it. How much parent's going to be left? So not only did your spouse get harmed, children get harmed. So what if we could figure out a way for a ridiculously low amount of money that you'd never have to worry about that again? At the very least, come on, even if you didn't do anything, wouldn't you want to know that that was possible? There's no cost or obligation for this, I promise you. I'm just going to come over and ask you a bunch of questions, see what you can handle, what you want to find out about. And then if you tell me to go away, I'll go away. But I just want to make sure that you know that there are some things that you could do to make sure you never worry about this. I get appointments all the time.
And because people have never thought about that. I mean, most people are way underinsured or have no insurance.
Well, but see, I don't talk about it.
No, I know, but I just
out of the side of their eye. It's not that they think about it. They kind of know about it out of the side of their eye, out of the corner of their eye. They're not thinking about any of this every day. That's what's so powerful about it. What sets you apart? How many people do you think are going up and asking for their opinion? You want to hear something? In appointments. I'm so glad you asked me this. This is so funny. And all these people that are going to watch this podcast, they're going to turn to themselves and they're going to go, this happens to me all the time. How many times when you have a husband and wife or a significant other sitting next to each other, and we have to be true to that nowadays, sitting next to each other, how many times when you ask them questions, do they turn to each other and go, well, you never told me that. I didn't know you felt that way.
Yeah.
And the reason is because nobody's ever asked them.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us powerful.
Yeah.
I used to tell this, I call it a joke. It's not a joke. It's a story about an accountant, attorney, a banker, and a trust officer arguing over who's going to be the most important financial advisor in the 21st century. Was it going to be the accountant, the attorney, the banker, or trust officer? They couldn't come up with an answer. So the only way they could figure out how to do this is they sat down, no kidding. They wrote a letter to God. Dear God, who's going to be the most important financial advisor in the 21st century? It's going to be the accountant, the attorney, the banker, or the trust officer. They folded it up beautifully. They put it in the envelope. They put 2 stamps on it because they wanted to make sure it would get there. A week goes by, no answer. 2 weeks go by, no answer. 3rd week, no kidding, they get a letter back in the mail from God. They tear this thing open. Here's what it said. Dear accountant, attorney, banker, trust officer, I don't think any of you are going to be that important in the 21st century. Signed God, CLU. No. I stop and get everything I can. I want everybody to understand. Both of my children are attorneys, big time attorneys.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against those 4 professions.
Yes.
Here's what the difference is. This is why we're so important. They answer questions.
Yes.
We ask questions. If the customer doesn't know what questions to ask them, they never get the answers that they need to have a successful financial and retirement future. We can point them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Ed Slott, he taught me, when's the last time you did a beneficiary review? Not anything about insurance, about any of their investments. When's the last time you did a beneficiary review? And I have a good story to tell about that because my second wife, I've been married twice. My second wife was a vice president of Allianz Insurance Company. And when I went to a Ed Slott Master Elite Training Program, Ed Slott, that was one of the questions that he taught all of us. Okay. When's the last time you did a beneficiary review? When I went home, I checked and found out that my first wife was still the beneficiary of my 401k. My second wife was so angry at me, she didn't speak to me for a month.
But I just want to point out how that is so valuable. It's not alarming either. If you can go to somebody, ask them that, and then help them, you're adding so much value in their life, and you're a good example. You were in the profession.
But it's even better than that.
Okay.
Because here's what happens. My wife didn't talk to me. In fact, she threatened. She said, I should tell everybody what a lousy conversation you are. I mean, she was really upset. I said, but I fixed it. She said, well, you could have died. And I said, well, I didn't die.
Yeah.
I mean, she just was on me, okay? That's how serious it is. Now, this is really important. Do you know why it's so effective? Because in order to verify that all their beneficiaries are correct, don't they have to show you their money market, their CD, their checking account, their savings account, their mutual funds, their stocks, their bonds, their 401ks, everything, their life insurance, everything they have, because you're verifying that the beneficiaries are the way they want them. And shouldn't they have contingent beneficiaries? And should they have per stirpe stipulations and all kinds of things like that? And what ends up happening is because you're having that conversation with them that nobody else has had, while you're looking at their 401k, you look at them and you say, boy, can I ask you something? And watch, this is really important that you listen carefully. You look at them and you say, are you worried that we're going to have a downturn and you're going to lose money again like you did the last time? And the key word was again. I'm assuming the last time we had a big downturn in 2008 that they lost money. Will I be wrong or right more often?
You'll be right.
Well, most of the time.
Yeah.
And so you just assume it.
Yeah.
And then they'll go, well, no, I don't want to lose money again. And I say, isn't the difference this time that you don't have as long to make it back?
Yes.
I'm sure that you made it back the last time and that was wonderful. But, at your age now, if you had to wait another 14 years for it to make it back, how would that affect your retirement? It's just a couple of questions away from going through plan. Do you get where I'm always going?
I do.
It's always to get them to want to go through a process of discovery.
Yeah, and here's what I'm thinking is I would imagine many people want to know the exact questions. I actually care less about the exact questions and more about how you come up with the framework, because you're always reinventing yourself as things are happening in the news. You're tying it back to, that's what also makes good content, by the way, is you look at what's going on and you create videos answering questions and make that's valuable. If you're making videos that nobody cared about, well,
that's why I watch all your videos.
Okay. But so the reality is I'm more curious about your way of thinking, because I feel like you have, and it's practice. You probably would be the first to say you're not a natural, but you've over thousands and thousands of hours of practice. You're now, I'll say it, you're a legend at this. You're able to see somebody and be able to assume a couple of potential issues or pain points that they know or unknowingly have, and then be able to, in a way, you also use humor. Yeah, you use that very strategically. About self-deprecating humor, which some people could look at and get offended. I've had people, like, I'll use it and sometimes, and people will like correct me and it's like, hey, you got to think higher of yourself. And I always walk away. I'm like, I don't think they fully understand that. It's very, you take away someone's guard when you're able to make fun of yourself, when you're able to laugh at yourself, but you're able to approach them in a way that's non-threatening, but add value regardless if they want to meet with you or not. You're trying to figure out what are the biggest potential pain points and how can I ask a couple questions, get their opinion, because you're getting their buy-in around a pain point, but then you're getting them to think about things that they may have never ever thought about, and now you become the key that potentially can unlock or help them. Is that like, I'm like,
Caleb, can I make one adjustment though?
Please.
And I don't know if you saw, but I was flinching. I got a couple of things I want to say first. If you've been watching carefully the podcast so far, I can think of 5 or 6 times I've made mistakes. None of this is about being perfect. It's about being authentic and being conversational. Meaning, can you talk about what you do for a living the same way you talk about your favorite football team or your favorite food or your favorite movie? You don't stammer or stutter. You don't go, you don't do that. You can talk like it's a conversation. Second, please, this is the part that I'm trying to totally destroy in the industry. I don't believe in pain points.
Okay. Okay.
Not at all. People buy access to opportunity. So I close every single question. Hey, even though this is bad, what if you could take advantage of it rather than being hurt by it?
So you're looking at it more from a positive lens and saying there's opportunities that they don't. For example, is if you could literally give someone money that they didn't know they had access to, they would love you forever.
Absolutely.
And it's not that hard to have that conversation.
It's not that hard.
That actually, I'm really glad that we mentioned this because the profession, and you can even see it in my language, we're very much driven around the negative side, the pain point.
Yes.
You wonder why we have such bad retention in our space. We don't look at pain versus opportunity. And we have the ability to help bring opportunity and options
on every bad thing. Remember I told you the 5 questions. You think taxes will be higher? You think benefits are going to be lower? You think we're going to have inflation? Do you think we're going to have lots and lots of volatility? And gosh, longevity. God, wouldn't the worst thing in the world be to live longer than your money lives? So then I stop and I say, those all sound like really bad things, don't they? What if every single one of those could be turned into an opportunity right now for the rest of your life? When would you want to take advantage of that?
Yeah.
And so, boom, now it's not about, grinding. It's about, let's get excited about how, you mean I can win with inflation? Of course you can. All we have to do is design a strategy that does it. You mean we have the power of zero here tomorrow, the David McKnight. You mean I can reduce or eliminate my income tax liability? Yes, and all it takes is a little bit of planning. Not a lot of planning, a little bit of planning. And gosh, what about everybody's talking about reduced Social Security and reduced Medicare and reduced healthcare, higher deductibles, higher premiums, all of these kinds of things. What if you never had to worry about that? What if we could easily replace all those lost benefits every time they happen? Wouldn't that be amazing? And the most exciting thing, the last 2 ones, I saved those for the last, the volatility. What's your strategy to not be hurt by the bad volatility? And wouldn't it be amazing if you could take advantage of every good volatility thing that ever happened? And finally, here's my question to you. If you retired at age 65 and you die at 70, are we ever going to have any trouble planning your retirement? Of course not. But if you retire at age 65 and you live till you're 95, wouldn't that be great? But you run out of money and you're 72 years old. What if there was a way that you would never have to worry about that ever again? Wouldn't that give you the best retirement you could ever dream of? So I'm curious, can I ask you a question, Caleb? This is really important. How come you're not doing this already? I thought sure you'd already be doing this, somebody like you. You know what they say almost every time? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I don't crush another agent. You never say bad about another agent or advisor because that demeans you. What you say is, now. So what do you think you should do?
Yeah.
Boom. These are 5, 10, 15-minute conversations where they're telling me instantaneously that they want to do business. Because here's the most important thing. We're finally down to the nitty gritty.
Yes.
This is a part that's going to floor everybody that's listening to this. We don't sell products. We don't sell relationships. We sell trust. And people make a determination whether they can trust you literally in seconds. And I know all of us, I'm an analytical. I'm a psychoanalytical. I read 14 newspapers a day. I read 250 periodicals a month. I get 50 Google alerts every day on my phone with 20 articles. That's 1,000 articles a day. I took speed reading so I could keep up with all the information. And I don't use it to tell anybody anything. I use it to ask them great questions about the events of the day. One of the hottest things right now that I'm doing is I asked everybody in the newspaper, the headline. I'll give you a quick example. The president, I don't ever call him Donald or Donald. I never called Biden or
the president.
President. It's respectful.
Yep.
It never puts you in a bad place, no matter what their thoughts are. So I say the president, front page headline, he just bought $377 million of bonds. Can I ask you something? Why do you think he did that? They go, well, I don't know. And I said, boy, watch. What happens to the value of bonds when the interest rates go down? Doesn't the value of bonds go up? And soon this is the fulcrum of the teeter-totter. The farther away from the teeter-totter fulcrum, the more movement there is. So what do you think Donald Trump is going to try and do with the new head of the Federal Reserve? Do you think he's going to ask him to raise rates or lower rates?
I think he's pretty
I
clear.
have another one.
I think
Let's
he's pretty
forget
clear.
about those two for a minute. We're about to go $40 trillion in debt. And the way to find that out, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, here, let me show you on my phone. I have the usdebtclock.org, and I show them my phone.
Yep.
Or I show them on the computer. And I say, we're about to go $40 trillion in debt. Let me ask you something. Does the government want higher interest rates or lower interest rates? So if they could get the interest rates to go down by half of what they are now, couldn't they add another 20 trillion of debt and still pay the same amount of interest? Does that sound like the government might do something like that? So let me ask you something. What do you think is going to happen to rates with savings accounts, CDs, money markets? Didn't we have a period of time where they paid very, very little for a very long time? What if you could set up a strategy where you could lock in a quality interest rate for 5, 7, even 10 years and make sure that you got a quality, safe money interest rate for that period of time? Then I count to 3, watch, 1 in my head. But what if I'm wrong? They're stunned. What do you mean, what if you're wrong? Well, what if I'm not correct? What if the interest rates go up from here? Have I hurt you? They go, well, I don't know. And I say, well, no, I haven't. The strategy helps you win under any circumstance. What if the interest rates go from 5 to 6? Would I put you in as a withdrawal privilege? And I'm allowed to move the money without a taxable event. So I could take the withdrawal privilege and move it to 6%. And next year, if they go to 7, I could take from the 5, from the 6, and move you to 7. And if the interest rates go up to 10, I could take from the 5, 6, 7, move you to 10. And the higher the interest rates go, the longer I'm going to lock you in for. And you know what's going to happen? When the interest rates start to come back down again, you're going to invite me over once a month for my regular hug and kiss, because you're going to love that you locked in these rates. I have people, when the interest rates were 0, that were making 6 and 7% in these fixed interest annuities because they locked them in for a long period of time. I don't take credit. I say to the people, did I know that was going to happen? No, this is what they like. No, the strategy won for you because we had a way that whatever happened, we could adjust and always take advantage of it. Wouldn't that be a wonderful strategy? Yeah. And so it's not ever about me. I'm hoping that everybody gets that as they watch this. That's what makes it so presentable. What it also does, I'm hoping as everybody watches something like this with me, can you see how much I love what I do? I adore it. And I laugh and giggle all day. I drive around, I pick up money, and people give me cookies and candy and booze and stuff out of their garden. I don't even have to have a garden because all my customers have gardens and they give me stuff out of their gardens. It's fun. And at the same time, when I go to their weddings, I go to the hospital when they're in the hospital. I am part of their lives. I had one guy that was terminally ill not that long ago, and he called me. He said, I want you to come to the hospital because I want everybody in the family to meet you so they know that you'll be taken care of. Wow. Can you even imagine? He's terminally ill. And that's all he's thinking about is his family. He wants to make sure they're okay. That's what makes this such a wonderful, enjoyable profession, is because we can really serve people. We can make a lot of money, but we have to learn some skills. This is a learned profession. I'm not charming. I'm not good looking. I'm overweight. I'm old. I'm the exact thing that the business is not going to be anymore. I'm an old white man. This is going to be a woman's industry. Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, young people. We're going to look like the people that we serve in this industry. And if those people will take the time to learn the skills that I've learned, they will just have great joy in their careers, and they'll help a lot of people and make a lot of money while they're doing it.
And I know this, we've talked about these skills, but I just want to hear it again from you. Is the skill the art of asking questions, looking for opportunities?
Asking questions that engage people in conversations where they convince themselves. That's really the foundation. The key to all of this is everybody thinks you have to have a gift of gab, that you have to be charming, that you have to be a social butterfly. I am none of those things. what I have learned to do is to set aside my concerns. I'm still have to drive around the block a couple of times when I meet somebody for the first time to get the courage up to go knock on their door. I don't mind telling anybody that. But once I'm in there, please, if you're watching this, I'm a powerful son of a gun. You don't want to mess with me, because please. And when I say don't mess with me, if you don't want to do anything, I'll be able to know that in 5 minutes, so it won't wreck my life.
Yeah.
I'll just say, and I don't burn that bridge either. This is what I want to make
You
sure
don't slam the thing on
no. I shake their hand and say, boy, the timing's just not right for us. But will you promise me you'll remember one thing? Will you promise me that you'll remember that if something bad starts to happen and you don't get the help you're looking for, that you can call on me and I'll ask you enough questions that'll help you to make sure that you can navigate that with the best result? Will you promise me you'll remember that? Oh, it's great to meet you. Thank you. And I get a lot of calls back from people that at first weren't interested, and then you start to have these bad things that are happening. It's just the key to all of this. Think about this. If you wanted to, I love baseball. Let's say I wanted to be a great baseball player. And we tell everybody, if you want to be a great insurance agent, you should study like crazy. Study, study, study. If I read the 50 greatest books ever written and studied them like crazy to be a great baseball player, would I be any good at baseball? No. How do you get good at baseball?
By playing.
By practice. And who are the best baseball players? The ones that practice so much that it becomes instinctive. And it's the same for, we say we're professionals. We're professional insurance agents. Let me give you an example of instinctive. We go to customers all the time. We make a great sales presentation. And at the end, they look at us and they go, boy, I just don't think I can afford that. They don't say it mean. They just, well, I don't think I can afford that. And you, instead of going, well, what if you die, or all of this kind of stuff that I watch them do it all. Well, what if this happens? Don't you care about your family? What the hell's wrong with you? What kind of person are you? I've seen them do that.
No, I know.
And so you don't do that. What you do is you say, boy, I totally understand why you've asked a question like that. I should have even talked with you about that. I apologize. But doesn't it raise another question? And they go, what is that? I say, gosh, if you can't afford the premium, how the heck would your family or your business afford the problem? What if we could figure out a way to fit this in your budget so you wouldn't have to worry about this ever again? Gosh, wouldn't that make your life way better? And shouldn't we at least give it some consideration? And they always find a way, maybe buy some term insurance or whatever, but they always find a way to take action, because I didn't blow up at them. I am very interested in finding ways to help them do what they need to do. Please, because of the time of this, I hope you'll invite me back for another time.
We should do? We should have a call in where people can literally call in and they get to ask you questions, or you get to dive in.
I would be happy to do that, but I'll tell you, the find the money part, you would laugh how simple it is, how ridiculous simple. And all you have to do is know basic income tax law, not tons, just basic income tax law. And I listen to this. I'll give you an example. Under current tax law this year, you can make, listen to this, $146,500 and still be in the 12% marginal income tax bracket. But your effective tax rate is only 7.8%, because you won't pay any tax on the first $45,700. You only pay 10% on the next $24,800, and you pay 12% on the next $74,000. So when you figure that all out, it's 7.8%. So I go to a customer that's got $400,000 in their IRA. Watch, they're living on $100,000. I say, what if we could take $40,000 a year every year out of your 401k? Remember, they're past 59 and a half. I don't ever do it. We could take $40,000 a year out of your 401k and move it into a cash value life insurance policy. And at the end of 10 years, this is all it would cost you. And I round figure up. I don't say 7.8. I say 8% of 400,000 is $32,000. If you can eliminate the income tax liability on $400,000 forever, it would only cost you $32,000. Would you do it? And can I ask you something? Don't you think you should do it right now? Because isn't the government coming for you? So then the second thing I say to them is, you would then do, and I stole this from Ed Slott again. I don't have anything original. I've stole this from all these great people. I say, do you understand? You just turned 400,000 of forever tax money into almost 400,000 of never ever again tax money. You know what they say right away? They say, well, Van, that sounds like it didn't make any money. And I say, boy, I know it looks that way, but can I ask you something? Didn't you just turn 400,000 of forever tax money into almost 400,000 never ever tax money? What do you think the value of that is? And they go, oh my God, I didn't think, I apologize. Guys, I don't show anybody that they make any money in a cash value life insurance policy for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't make a cent, nothing. You're lucky if you get back to even. I've never shown it making any money, ever.
Wow.
And then I say to them, now let me ask you another thing. Didn't you make your 400,000 look like $700,000 or $800,000? Do you understand what that means? It means now you have access to that money that you transferred income tax free while you're alive. And the day you die, your strategy will replenish all the money for your family. So not only do you get to use the money, your family gets to use the money as a legacy. Then I say, if that's all there was, you should get this right now, shouldn't you? But that's not all there is, because it doesn't have to go through probate. It's adjustable in private. You control the money from your grave. It has creditor and predator protection. It has Medicaid versatility. You can turn it from a lump sum asset into an income stream. And you'll notice I haven't told them anything. I'm asking them, do you know this? Do you know this? How come you're not doing this? And that's the fun.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Is
I'm sorry I talked too much.
No, I love this. I'm going to ask one more question that could lead to a couple more minutes of discussion.
Okay.
Have you ever doubted that life insurance is good for people? Like I'll use myself as an example. Of course, I won't try to make myself like an angel. I wanted to get into a business, wanted to make money, wanted to be of service, was very interested in the investment space, hedge funds, like all that stuff. Learned about life insurance, and I saw an insane opportunity because no one could tell me, like it was very inefficient, and there's a lot of money to be made in inefficient markets because very few people know what's going on. There's a lot of misunderstanding. I'm seeing what banks are doing, corporations are doing, wealthy people are doing, and I'm like, I believe if people understood this, there'd be a line outside the door. Now, in that journey, I have a high belief of like, I need to know what I'm doing is the right thing. Otherwise, I could make money in a lot of different spaces. Does that make sense? Like, I don't need to pick this to make money. I want to make sure that it is the right thing to do. Just recently, we had two people back out of sponsorships, and they backed out because I would not budge on something because of value. And I didn't blink twice. I do not care about the money in that situation.
Okay.
And there's been times where because if you look at what Dave Ramsey says and other people, and you look at very smart people, they like hate on life insurance. They almost make it sound like life insurance is the most worst place to put your money. And I'll be honest, there's been times where I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Like, should I just do something else? Should I do investing? Like, and I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but I've had this feeling around like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm putting my energy and my resources into the thing that can have the biggest impact. Because I believe if you can solve problems or create opportunities and show, like, there's money to be made in a lot of different areas. Does that resonate with you at all around life insurance? And then if someone's watching this, because I know there's so many people that are watching this that might feel like they're in the same boat, what would you say about, like, what do they need to learn about life insurance? What do I need to learn about life insurance? What does the person sitting at home need to learn about life insurance to know that they're doing the right thing? I know that's a loaded question, but
And you want me to answer this in 3 minutes
or 30? I'm here, man.
No.
Yeah, I'm here for as long. But does it,
it's
like,
actually very, very easy to answer.
Okay.
The only time you should ever feel that way is if you think that cash value life insurance is the only answer.
It's good.
It's not the only answer. Our job is to serve our customers and find all the ways that it can benefit them. And for a young person, sure, they should have some life insurance. The reason is because it's inexpensive. You can build piles of money. Both of my children, I bought them when they were born, whole life policies that have enormous cash values in them now that gives them access to tax-free money and really good quality death benefits that they would have to pay a lot more money for now. Okay. But that's not where I want to go with this. A young person in their 20s maybe should probably have, if they're not married, they should maybe have a Roth IRA. Please, I'm a real big fan of Roth, of deferred non-taxation.
Yes.
I believe the government is setting us up to tax the bejesus out of us. They don't have enough money, not enough revenue to run everything. So a Roth IRA, Roth 401k,
Megador Roth, all that good stuff.
Just Roth. They should pay their taxes now, and they're probably historically as low as they'll ever be, and transfer money in the future that doesn't have taxes.
Yes.
But the second part of the question that you asked is life insurance. If you really understand it, it is not an investment product. It is not a protection product. It is a combination of a multitude of things, and that's what makes it effective. Give you an example. A lot of people right now, and I find it to be a very effective way to talk about long-term care. Most people can't afford or don't want to pay for long-term care because they answer this way. They say, well, what if I don't use it? Then I just throw away all that money. Well, there are life insurance policies, and now there are even some annuities that will provide long-term care benefits if you need them, but if you don't need them, then you didn't waste the money. Now, would that be a good investment? No, because other things would have better earnings, but how much money would you have to set aside of those earnings to provide that protection? And those are all the things that have to be weighed. The other thing is, I have a customer that I made hundreds of thousands of dollars for. And then I went to him and said, I got this little aggressive thing I want you to try. Just give me $1,000. Let's see if we can do it. And it didn't do well. It lost to like $700. He lost $300. And he almost fired me because I don't like losing my money. What did you put me in? It didn't matter that I made him $300,000. He had lost $300. So all of these things are part of the conversation, finding out what they can live with. There's some people, if they ever get a statement in the mail that says they lost money, it would kill them inside. They would not live a good life.
Yeah.
Those are the people that maybe should be considering a fixed interest annuity or a fixed indexed annuity or a cash value life insurance of some policy of some kind. They can't afford to watch this. But then there's other people that say, I don't mind any of that. I want to get the best returns I can. And then you have to think about the space of time. I sit down with customers right now. Every single one, Brett's brand new. You're going to laugh. I sit down and I look at them and I say, before you do any business with me, I want you to understand, if you've been sitting here at this table with me in 2016, I'd have told you the crash was imminent, and I've been wrong for 10 years, 10 whole years. Can I ask you something? This is how I get out of it. Why do you think I was wrong? I don't tell them. I let them tell me. You know what they say back? Well, I think I was wrong because didn't they lower the interest rates? Didn't they print more money? Didn't they change the tax laws? And I lean over and I say, is it okay if I came and hug you? You do understand. So please, doesn't that mean that none of us really know what's going to happen? So this is how we'll end this. What if there was a way that we could design a strategy that even if we didn't know anything, nobody could ever hurt us? And second of all, we wouldn't miss out on opportunities because we would have access to the money that we didn't lose. It would be very liquid, very accessible anytime we needed it. And the third benefit is, what if we could do all that with reduced or total elimination of our income tax liability? Gosh, wouldn't that be a great strategy? And wouldn't people be interested in something like that rather than trying to figure out what the best policy is or what the...
What do you say to people like Dave Ramsey or others that say very, very bad things about insurance salespeople, whole life and all?
Again, I don't ever say anything bad about Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey or Ken Fisher. I used to make jokes about Ken Fisher. I used to go to my broker dealer and say, he said, I hate annuities and so should you. And I went to my broker dealer and said, could I take out an ad that says, I hate Ken Fisher and so should you? And they wouldn't let me. They said it didn't work. But no, I say, I try to give them an example. I say, he's actually been spectacularly helpful to people. You know why? Because he helps them understand that they shouldn't get too far in debt.
Mm-hmm.
But can I ask you something? Hasn't he become a big, gigantic personality? And so doesn't he have to speak more in generalities about the issues of the day?
Mm-hmm.
So be serious with me. If he was sitting here right now and we talked about this and it turned out that this would be beneficial for you, you don't think he would say that this might be a beneficial thing for you to give consideration to? So I didn't get offended. I didn't. I, in fact, cheered for the person that they think is worthwhile. But do you understand? He's in a place now where he has to give very generalized advice because he represents.
Well, I think there's so many nuances to what you're saying. Whereas life insurance, the theme of this year's event is better integration, and so the word integration's key. And the example I'm going to use actually tomorrow is looking at an apple pie, and there's a lot of different ingredients that you could use individually that are great. But if you want to get an apple pie, they all need to be integrated into that. That's an example of whether you call it strategy, outcome, regardless of what you want to say. And so where I find that insurance can get portrayed or literally not always be the right thing is when someone's all in to say like, this is your only solution. Well, then you're potentially devaluing you're devaluing other assets, and
you're devaluing the product.
You're devaluing the product. Whereas if you go and say, what are you trying to go, and can this thing enhance what you're currently doing? And I'm going to ask a question tomorrow is, if this can make your life better, like literally, if we have the ability to make people's lives better, don't we have a moral obligation to really learn how to do that? And isn't there a massive opportunity to do that?
There's a spectacular opportunity, and it's the perfect product for the times we live in. We're going to have pretty serious inflation here. So I live in a marketplace where nobody goes, where people live in 800 square foot houses. They have $50,000 in savings. You're not going to believe what I sell them. I sell them a $50,000 single premium whole life policy. And I ask them, I say, do you understand? We can make that 50,000 look like 80 or 90,000, depending on their age and their health. And I say, you want to know what's really neat about it? You didn't give up control of the money. And here's the best thing. In order to maintain your standard of living, what if you need to spend $25,000 of the value inside of there in order to make sure that you could keep your life the way that it is? But instead of when you die only having $25,000 left for your family, you could still give them the 50 or 60 or 70,000 that this grew to. Again, it's finding a way to serve what's about to happen. We're going to have serious inflation. And the only way to beat inflation, it's not just about making money, but it's making money that doesn't have taxes. Right. And second, how can you use that leverage to use the money that you have while you're alive and then replenish it after you die?
Said something earlier in the podcast when you talked about long-term care and self-insuring. And think about the cost or opportunity cost of setting aside 200, 300, 400,000. You could do it, but it's almost like you could self-insure your house, but
how come you're not?
Well, it'd be very inefficient. Like, look at all the opportunities that you'd forego because you're self-insuring your home. And so I think there's something really powerful there. And we'll have to have you back on. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for showing up authentically. I think everyone that's watching this will be able to understand what I'm saying, that I appreciate you showing up as you are, sharing about your shortfalls, sharing about your failures, and doing so in a way that's going to help more people. And it'd be fun to figure out how many people, like how much life insurance you've placed. I'm sure it's 10 plus billion or more. But think about the ripple effect. It'd be almost impossible to measure, but it'd be really interesting to think about in your 50 plus years, less than 50 years of doing the right thing, how many billions that you directly or indirectly placed.
I don't keep track of stuff like that. Excuse me.
I just would be curious. You're going to
laugh. I'm licensed with probably 60 or 70 companies. I've never read a contract. I don't know what the commissions are. The guy that taught me how to do this finally said that you get paid on how much money you pick up. So I just try to pick up a lot of money. And no. And the way I was taught, I don't plan my year based on how many appointments how much business I'm going to sell. Isn't that what they tell you? Tell how much you're going to sell. Here's what he taught me. I want you to plan how much you're going to show.
That's good.
And so if it's Wednesday and I've shown everything I'm supposed to work for the week, then I can take Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. If it's Friday night, 7:00 at night, and I haven't shown everything I'm supposed to do, then I have to keep working and even work on Saturday until I show that amount of annuities, that amount of face amount of life insurance, that amount of long-term care, so forth. So please, before they make us go, thank you for what you're doing. This is something I wouldn't even begin to know how to do. And what you're able to do, I watch all your podcasts. You're able to help people share amazing ideas that they must listen to multiple times. The secret of this, if you have children, do they learn the first time we show them anything? How many times we have to ask them? 5, 10, 15, 20? Learning is the same way. The more you do it, the repetitions, the more successful you become and the quicker it'll happen. So my thanks to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.